Ladies and gentlemen, please rise.
Just how close the race is. And then also do a final playlist. Welcome to Toyota Park. You're in store for a mid-season matchup between the Chicago Red Stars and the Boston Breakers, presented by IBJI, the Illinois Bone and Joint Institute. I'm Lisa Byington, alongside our analyst and former Chicago Red Star Jackie Manning. And of course, you can always tune in to our Spanish webcast and listen to Tico Fernandez. Well, both teams are coming off of 1-1 draws. Let's check in now. Last match that Chicago played, taking on Portland, a very important match in terms of implications in the NWSL standings. It was Sinclair and Portland getting on the board first.
Yeah, Sam Johnson with a misweighted pass back, and Christine Sinclair gets cleared off her chest right into the goal. But
the Chicago Red Stars had a much different second half, and they responded by, guess who? Kristen Press with her fourth goal of the season.
You see a great diagonal ball in from Casey Short. Alyssa Motts takes it off of her chest, and Kristen Press does a great job at finishing a one-time volley.
And Motts is credited with her first assist of the season. What a difference she made, getting a start in the second half for Chicago. And it ended up in a 1-1 tie with Portland. And it was a very important point that Chicago picked up, because that put them in a tie at that time for first place in the NWSL. Let's check in now with Boston's last match. And the Boston Breakers were taking on Washington, and Washington struck first.
You see a goal by Katie Stengel here off of a Joanna Lohman shot. And then here you see a foul in the box, and Louise Shilgord steps up, takes it with her left foot, and slots it into that left post.
Yeah, Brooke Elby drawing the foul in the box there, and it was just moments after Washington had scored that Boston responded. And much like Chicago and Portland, Boston and Washington end in a 1-1 draw. So that is your setup between these two teams. First place Chicago against a Boston team that's very hungry to move up the standings. We'll be right back from Toyota Park with the start of this evening's matchup between the Chicago Red Stars and the Boston Breakers, presented by IBJI.
Wouldn't it be great to feel this good every day? Doing the things you love with the people you love. At Illinois Bone and Joint Institute, we help people of all ages move better so they can live better. If an orthopedic injury or illness slows you down, we're here with everything you need. Enjoy the life you deserve. See what we can do for you at IBJI.com. IBJI. Move better, live better.
Welcome back to Toyota Park. Jackie Manning, Lisa Byington with you. Again, today's game presented by IBJI, the Illinois Bone and Joint Institute, the presenting partner of the Chicago Red Stars. IBJI, move better, live better. Let's take a look at how close this NWSL season has been so far, Jackie.
Each year, this season and each year, all the teams are just so close in terms of their points, and it makes every game a total battle, and you'll see that tonight. Even though the teams are top and bottom of the standings right now, it's just such a battle each game in and out.
A win for the Chicago Red Stars would put them in first place all alone after Saturday night. So let's take a look at our starting lineups, and we begin with the Boston Breakers. And good news for the Boston Breakers, Kristie Mewis, who had missed the last match for Boston, well, she is back in the starting lineup. We take a look at Chicago Red Stars here first. And let's talk about Alyssa Motts, who's getting the start for Chicago. She really gave them some energy in that second half against Portland.
She did. She came in the second half off the bench and provided an assist. So made a huge impact right from the get-go. She's got so much experience under her belt. She'll be great. She'll be fired up to get her start today.
It was her first assist of the 2016 season. And as for the Boston Breakers starting lineup, I began to tell you about Kristie Mewis, who's now back in the lineup after an ankle injury that she's been dealing with. But she's trained all week, and when we talked to her head coach, Matt Beard, he said that she's good to go.
She is. She's back. She's healthy, and you'll see her starting in that midfield spot. But in the center, sometimes we see her on the outside, but I really like her in the center of the park. We'll see how she does today.
Well, Matt Beard is in his first year with the Boston Breakers. You see him there on the right, and Rory Dames on the left. Rory Dames in Chicago looking to get into first place tonight. As for Boston Breakers, they're sitting in last place as we showed you the standings, but they're looking to build a little bit of momentum. And when we talked to Matt Beard before this match, he said, hey, look, our record might not show it, but we've been in several matches. We've played a lot of close matches this year.
Exactly. Despite their record, they really do have a solid defense. They've kept games really tight, even though they haven't come out on top on a lot. But that part comes. A lot of teams focus on their defensive side first. The attack comes.
Underway here at Toyota Park between the Boston Breakers and the Chicago Red Stars. Julie Johnston already trying to send it up top to Sofia Huerta. Jen Hoy does not get the start for Chicago because Alyssa Motz is in. So you have Press and Sofia Huerta up top for Chicago. This is a Boston Breakers team that will show you a formation of a 3-5-2 formation tonight. It's something that they kind of experimented with in their last match.
Yeah, they've been a little bit all over the place in terms of personnel and formation-wise, so they're still trying to figure out the pieces to the puzzle. Like I said, their defense has been pretty steady throughout the season. We'll see how this new formation takes hold.
They've even played a 4-2-3-1 this year as well. Matt Beard trying to find the combination that works, like I said, in his first year. Always kind of an interesting dynamic when a first-year head coach steps in. He's trying to get used to you, and you're trying to get used to him.
Yeah, and it's not even, it's his first year with this team, but it's also his first year in the league, and it's very different from where he came from. He was with Liverpool. They play a little bit slower, a little bit more of a build-up around the attack, so I think he's still getting used to the pace of this league. So yeah, he talked about trying to kind of keep everything centrally. That's why you see the 5 in the midfield. So we'll see how they do today.
He was hired in the fall of 2015, as you mentioned, comes from Liverpool. He guided the Liverpool Ladies FC to 2 straight Super League titles, has had some success there. This is the second meeting between these two clubs this year. Back on May 7th, it was a 1-0 victory for Chicago over Boston. Kristen Press is going to get called for the offside as she was trying to track down that ball. And Kristen Press, we have seen her play higher for Chicago. Back when Amanda DaCosta was not getting a lot of minutes because of her injury earlier this season, we saw Kristen Press playing a little bit deeper.
We did. And she was able to get the ball at her feet, but it obviously pulls her away from the goal. And we've seen her magic around the goal. She creates something out of absolutely nothing. So I think having her closer to the goal is really important. And it's been successful for them. She's been so efficient around the goal.
Trying to go behind to Press, a perfectly placed ball from Erin Gilliland. My goodness, was that beautiful. Up to the top to Vanessa DiBernardo to the top of the 6. And just like that, Sofia Huerta finishes it off. Chicago goes up 1-0.
This is a beautiful build-up from Chicago, and it's exactly what makes them so successful, is getting their outside backs wrapped up into the attack. And you see that build-up here with a big ball in by Vanessa DiBernardo. Sofia Huerta just pops it in off of her left foot with a great shot on goal.
And we don't see it there, but this play was generated and started by that beautiful ball from Erin Gilliland.
It was. Erin Gilliland sent a great diagonal ball in that Kristen Press just missed a touch on. She ends up getting it at the end line and finds Vanessa.
So Chicago, just like that, goes ahead 1-0. A second goal of the season by Sofia Huerta.
And like we talked about last game with her goal, she just needs that little bit of confidence from the get-go, and she will be so dangerous the rest of the game. She's so fun to watch when she's got confidence.
Give the assist to Vanessa DiBernardo. It's her second of the year. The distance shot is taken from Kaya Simon. as she is someone that Boston would like to see get going a little bit. I mean, I guess you could say that across the board from top to bottom with the Boston Breakers roster. Scoring is something that they have struggled doing this year.
It is. And like we said, it's hard to find any sort of rhythm when you're constantly changing your formation and personnel, but eventually they're going to find their stride. Like I said, their defense is great. So once they get things clicking attack-wise, they're going to be a dangerous team.
You know, Simon is someone that had a near goal in the first meeting with Chicago. That is one of the things that Matt Beard has talked about. Hey, we've had the chances. We played in these close games. We just now have to finish our chances. Just 2 goals scored as a team for the year. 1 on a penalty kick in the last match, and 1 by Whitney Engen. But a beautiful night here at Toyota Park. This is going to be the last home match that fans can actually watch the national team players play. Most likely they will take off in terms of Alyssa Nair and Julie Johnston and Kristen Press on the Chicago side. They will most likely take off after Chicago takes on Portland next week, next Wednesday. Those players in hopes of making the final 18 for the Olympic roster. Here's the counterattack for Chicago. Staying onside is Kristen Press, who tries to chase that one down, going up against Whitney Engen. Engen so solid on the back line for Boston. She was recently acquired in the trade that actually involved Chicago for Abby Urseg, Adriana Leon, and a draft pick. Western New York, Boston, and Chicago all involved in that trade. Of course, that's the trade that brought also, there's a big trade with Alyssa Nair coming to Chicago, and Nair playing in goal tonight for Chicago, playing against her old team for the first time in Chicago.
And she's been such a huge pickup for Chicago. She's so consistent and so strong in every aspect of her game.
Yeah, this is an East Coast native out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. Of course, she played soccer at Penn State. Played 6 seasons with Boston. I mean, she was drafted by this Breakers organization back in the NPS draft in 2010. So a lot of emotion when she takes on her former club.
A lot of emotion, and last game, at least against Boston, it suited her really well because she kept Chicago in the game.
Kristen Press got caught again. That's 2 here early in this first half.
I like that, though. She's on the line. She's attacking hard and kind of forcing Boston to hold their line just a little bit deeper because of how hard she's making those runs and how often.
Here's Mewis with the touch. She finds Silgard, who's looking up top for Simon. And Kaya Simon, we talked about her just a little bit. So talented, has played with the Australian national team. Got into a second straight World Cup quarters back in 2015. And she joined Boston last year after the World Cup summer. But she has been held scoreless with no points, no goals, no assists yet this year. She has generated about 18 shots for the season. Here's Motts on the right side. She will send it in into the hands of Libby Stout, who's getting the start for Boston. Now with Alyssa Nair being traded over to Chicago, Boston was in deep need of a goalkeeper, and they found Libby Stout, who played at Liverpool for Matt Beard. Julie King, a right outside back for Boston. So solid. What a great athlete she has been for the Breakers.
She is, and she's been around a long time, too. A ton of these Boston players have been really steady on their roster, but her especially, she is such an awesome athlete. She gets up and down that flank. She switched from outside back, or from center back to outside back with Engen coming in, and she can just cover so much ground on that outside. She can jump like crazy, and she's been very effective in the outside back position.
The through ball to Chicago's outside back. Casey Short finds the feet of Kristen Press. we've seen Press kind of put sort of those plays away. Off the hands of Stout, a loose ball. And Stout recovers, and the nice clearance from Boston. I mean, you just never know, though, when Christen Press is in the box, what kind of balls she could put away.
She needs such little amount of space to drive a ball home. She's so dangerous. You can't give her any space when you're defending her.
Well, Rory Dames would like to play her as close to goal as he can. We mentioned how she's played a little bit lower to start the year. But now with Amanda DaCosta a little bit healthier, she can sit in that box for Chicago. Here's Shilgard. And the takeaway from Pathman. Lolly Pathman has been able to kind of switch from the back line to the midfield. Very versatile player for Boston. Hard tackle again. Louise Shilgard gets called again for the foul. Picked up a couple back-to-back now. The hustle to keep that alive from Dani Colaprico. To the feet of Christen Press. Look out. Press will launch it. That was just inches from making it 2-0.
Sophia and Christen Press are doing a great job right now of playing off one another, drawing the back four of Boston out wider, and they're finding all these gaps in their back line, which allows her to take a touch, get her head up, and when she has time on the ball, like we said, she is just so dangerous.
Leads the NWSL in goals scored with 4. There's a bunch behind her who have scored 3. We talk about this every match, how efficient she is with her shot attempts. 30 shot attempts coming into tonight. 23 of those have been on frame. Sam Johnson will settle and finds the feet of Alyssa Nair. A lot of pieces to the puzzle had to come together for Chicago to get Alyssa Nair. In fact, we'll have a conversation with Chicago Red Stars owner Arnhem Whistler about exactly that and the steps that had to be taken to acquire Nair. Sometimes fans see the first move, sometimes they don't always see the second or third moves.
Yeah, they worked hard to get her, especially after losing Karina LeBlanc. You just need somebody with a little bit of experience and leadership in your back line, and they definitely achieved that by getting Alyssa Nair.
Julie Johnston trying to push up. Christen Press. The flag was up. And Boston wanted the offside call. The referee's not going to give it to him. Instead, it will be a throw-in for Chicago. To Libby Stout on the other end. I mentioned the last 2 years she's played for Liverpool in England in 2014 and 2015. In fact, there's a few players who have played for Matt Beard in Liverpool. Libby Stout is one in his second and third season there. Whitney Engen and Louise Shilgard played in his first year at Liverpool. We have a 1-0 score here between Chicago and Boston. A third-minute goal scored by Sofia Huerta, an absolutely beautiful team goal, you can call it. Here's McCaffrey. Stephanie McCaffrey will take a try.
You mentioned team goal. This is definitely the best I've seen Chicago start a game. In terms of attack, they're confident, and they've been driving their outside backs way up to join in.
One of the goals for Rory Dames, he said going into this match, keep possession better.
And that's something they struggled with against Portland a little bit. Their midfielders just weren't able to kind of build anything out of the middle and allow their outside backs to join in. So today, just seeing Vanessa DiBernardo on the ball a little bit more, connecting with Cole Prico, those two are so good on the ball, and they're more than capable of building their attack.
Again, Erin Gilliland trying to find Sofia Huerta, and the flag is up. Well, Rory Dames told us in the pregame, and he said that they went back and watched the Portland match and said that they outpossessed Portland, which if you just watched the match, you'd find that hard to believe.
Especially in the first half, they just came out a little bit sluggish. They're a little bit all over the place defensively and attack-wise. So yeah, it's a crazy stat to hear. But they picked it up in the second half. They looked much better, more confident, especially in those last 10 minutes or so. They were close to kind of coming out with a win.
A lot of it, too, was the energy that number 4 provided. Alyssa Motts getting the start in the second half.
Yes, energy is one thing that Alyssa Motts has. I love playing with Alyssa Motts. She just has such a deep love, deep compassion for the game, and it shows on the field. She loves being out there. She trains so hard. I'm happy she got the start today, and I'm happy she was able to make an impact, so big of an impact last week against Portland.
I'll tell you what, when you're the only one on the pitch right now who's wearing the bright orange shoes like Alyssa Motts is doing, you better provide a little bit of energy.
Exactly. That screams Alyssa Motts.
Former Red Star Jackie Manning and Lisa Byington with you. Jackie Manning, you might know her as Jackie Santa Catarina when she played in Chicago, as an all Big Ten honoree too at the University of Illinois. Erin Gilliland trying to fight off Stephanie McCaffrey. And press now dropping a little bit lower to receive that in the midfield. And they'll try to reset through Alyssa Nair. Switching fields over to Sam Johnson, who's got some time and space to work with. To Sofia Huerta. Alyssa Motts was calling for it. Huerta couldn't get the ball to find her. Kind of unique, two of the oldest pro women's soccer teams, I should say, in the country, squaring off tonight between Boston and Chicago.
And with the same ownership as well. They've got a very cool relationship between Chicago and Boston, and they've got a lot of respect for each other, how they've gone about keeping the leagues alive, keeping their teams alive, and their franchise alive. It's very cool to see those two still involved in the game.
It's something also that Arnim Whistler will talk about at halftime in our conversation. Both owners actually worked with U.S. Soccer to rebuild this league from scratch in 2013. He also addresses the future of the NWSL and how encouraging it is to not have to worry about next year. There definitely will be a next year for the NWSL.
Which is so great to hear, just because when I was playing in the league, you never really knew if there was going to be a league in the next year or not. So it's awesome to see how many strides this league and women's soccer has taken in general.
Free kick for Chicago. Julie Johnston will handle it. Johnston playing a ball to Kristen Press. Look at that.
She made that look easy, but that is so hard to do when you're in your stride. A ball's coming over your shoulder and she just pops it up off of her foot, nice and calm.
So fun to watch.
She really is.
Made her 30th appearance against Portland. Scored her 20th goal with the Red Stars when she got the equalizer in the second half. And really in that match, she didn't have very many opportunities or very many looks. First Red Stars quarter kick of the night, brought to you by Illinois Women's Soccer League. Here it is, to the middle of the box, and the header. And the save from Libby Stout. With that corner kick, and every corner kick you'll see tonight, IWSL will donate a game ticket to a local nonprofit organization.
Chicago's doing a great job of, one, pushing everybody up and getting people involved in the attack, but two, transitioning and people just kind of falling into spots that need filling. Right now you see Cole Prigo in the back line because Gilliland got caught up, so they're just doing a great job of communicating, shifting, and really reading the game and taking over responsibilities when needed.
Yeah, now that they got this good flow and this good chemistry, and then another match later, and they're going to have to find a new flow and a new chemistry when the national team members exit.
It really is a tough, when there's those big tournaments, big events like that for the national team players, it is a tough transition for the girls and for their teammates, because once you get that kind of mold going, you're all gelling on the field, and then people leave, and then different players have to step up, and as soon as those U.S. players come back, you kind of have to readjust, and it's a different vibe that you have to get going again.
We showed you the standings here before the match, and it's tight, which is fun for the fans, but it'll be interesting on who loses points and who gains points during that Olympic period as well. For instance, Portland could lose a bunch of players during that Olympic time.
I believe. Yeah, it's hard to set your team and to be able to kind of read how the season's going to go without your main players.
Free kick, and Johnston heads it out of harm's way into the hands of Alyssa Nair.
Yeah, but like I said, it's just hard to adjust, and especially when you're losing 9 players or have the potential to. That's a huge amount of your team. It's different when it's 2 or 3. You have main players that are still around and can still carry that load. But you have to plan on years like this. When you know that your big players are going to be out, you have to have people that you're comfortable stepping in.
At speed is Kaya Simon. You see her speed and her athleticism on a play like that. You know, the fact that Western New York might not lose a lot in its roster has really made the Western New York story, and the fact that they are in the position that they're at, one of the better stories of the NWSL this year.
It does. There's something to be said for those teams who, like you said, aren't losing a ton of players, but have managed to do really well in a time where all those players are still here.
Half chance for Amanda DaCosta goes wide. Amanda DaCosta was subbed in the last time that these two teams met. Amanda DaCosta was subbed in for Jen Hoy in the 55th minute in the first meeting. That made all the difference in the world. It pushed Kristen Press up, and then consequently Press scored the lone goal of that match.
Exactly, and it's huge to be able to get Kristen Press up. And DaCosta's done better each game. She's got more familiar with Chicago's style of play, how to force things one way defensively. She's been a great addition into that holding, attacking mid spot.
Talented player out of Florida State. All ACC first team in 2010, was dealing with a hip flexor injury at the beginning of the year. I want to remind you that text Red Stars to 52182. We have a live auction going on. We'll be doing this throughout the whole season, but you can text and make your bid up until the 70th minute of this match. Red Stars, you can text Red Stars to 52182. Today's auction items, how about a 2013 player signed jersey? 19 of the 20 players have signed it. A Vanessa DiBernardo team jacket, size small, if that's your size. And a coin toss experience for 2 people at a future Red Stars game. You get to actually walk on the field and be involved in the coin toss.
I think I might be on that 2013 jersey. It's like vintage.
First year of the league. Your autograph, though, is much simpler now, from Santa Catarina to Manny. It doesn't take you as long to sign your name.
I know. I did just go with the JS usually because I couldn't stand the 13 letters.
Neither could your teammates, who had to find space to write their name after you got to it, right?
Selfish last name.
The Red Stars Soccer in 2016, presented by the Illinois Bone and Joint Institute, proud presenting partner of the Chicago Red Stars, the Illinois Bone and Joint Institute. Move better, live better, learn more at ibji.com. We thank our friends at IBJI for being our presenting sponsor tonight. And we thank you also for tuning in. Boston Breakers and the Chicago Red Stars. Red Stars leading 1-0 thanks to a Sofia Huerta goal in the 3rd minute, assisted by Vanessa DiBernardo, her 2nd of the year. To the feet of press, to Motts, who was looking up to Huerta. And Boston read that nicely.
He did, but even those little 1-2s where they find the highest player, bump it back in to the midfield are something they didn't really connect on against Portland.
Molly Pathman will throw it in. To the feet of Simon, back to Pathman. Pathman battling for it against Gilliland. It'll be a Chicago throw-in.
Fans text the word Red Stars to 52812 to join tonight's live silent auction.
Last home match for Chicago for a while. They will hit the road for 4 straight. Get an important match coming up on the back end of this one against Portland.
We'll do another big battle against Portland and at Portland. It's a pretty hard place to get 3 points at, but that being said, Chicago usually comes out pretty strong at Portland.
Yeah, a place where they can get easily 18,000 to watch a match.
It is one of the coolest atmospheres for sure that I've ever been a part of. It is so cool out there.
We get a foul call. And we got a throw-in coming up. To DaCosta. Cassie Coleman is there. Coleman, one of the 3 captains last year for this team. Up top to McCaffrey. McCaffrey trying to take on the whole Chicago back line. And Boston has had trouble generating some numbers in its attacks. Again, reminding you that we have an auction, a live auction. All you have to do is text the code word Red Stars to 52182. You can do this all the way up until the 70th minute of the match. Bidding includes a signed jersey from the 2013 team, a Vanessa DiBernardo team jacket, and an experience for a coin toss where you can actually walk down on the field and be involved in that part of the pregame. Throw in for Boston. We have seen several times where Simon has kind of been left on an island, and McCaffrey has kind of been left on an island for Boston and their attacking chances.
They have, and they're both such talented players. McCaffrey is so good. She hasn't done a ton in terms of generating any goals or assists so far this season, but she's so good. She was actually on Chicago and was drafted by Chicago, but then traded right away to get Huerta and Colaprico, which has turned out well for Chicago, to say the least.
Yeah, she was selected 5th overall by Chicago. And Boston gave Chicago the 9th and 11th picks in exchange for McCaffrey, and it's worked out well. I think probably for both clubs.
Exactly.
Now into the 28th minute. Jackie Manny, Lisa Byington with you. Again, coming up at the half, a conversation with Chicago Red Stars owner Arnim Whistler. Discuss the Alyssa Nair trade, the relationship between these two clubs, and the future of the NWSL. How about this? Danny Colaprico is going to take a shot. Well, Colaprico is someone that immediately Matt Beard pointed out to us about how impressed he was with how she played in the first meeting between these two clubs.
I think he said she had something like 98% completion rate with her passes, which is crazy stat. But she's somebody who doesn't get a ton of recognition, but she is so good, so simple on the ball. And like we said, she just keeps possession.
As you watch the Red Stars on the field, know that you can get geared up just like your favorite players, jerseys, sweatshirts, just about anything else your Red Stars wear or use. You can log on to redstarsgear.com today. Yeah, high praise. Colaprico, DiBernardo, 2 of those fringe players trying to be consistent with the senior national team. A nice played ball from Alyssa Motts, and the fingertips of Libby Stout kept that out of danger.
It's a great ball in by Motzi, kind of bending around the back line onto oncoming runners. Just gets a little bit of a tip by Stout, which keeps it out of danger.
Playing it out wide, Boston on its attack. Kaya Simon trying to generate something with Shilgard on that right side. Portland Thorns sit atop the NWSL coming into Saturday night. 17 points for Portland. Chicago Red Stars right behind them. Tied for second with 15. A 3 points and a win tonight will put them in sole possession of first place. Out to Motts again. Nicely played by Pathman. We'll have the second corner kick coming up for Chicago. IWSL continuing to donate a game ticket to a local nonprofit organization with every corner kick you see tonight. Vanessa DiBernardo will take it. Floats one to the back of the box, and an early whistle as the ball was flighted into the air.
Not sure if that was a foul on Chicago.
Looks to be that way, as Boston's given a free kick. Playing out to Pathman, who tries to keep that into play, and she does. Gets it up to McCaffrey. McCaffrey has Simon in the box. They'll play it back to Pathman. Trying to work this left side. Here's McCaffrey. McCaffrey was looking for Christy Mewis. Here's McCaffrey again. And she was swarmed by Chicago Red Star jerseys. The turn from press. Golaprico's got all kinds of time in the midfield. A nice run from Huerta. We'll get it to Casey Short. Short puts it away. Do they count it? I think they might be. They're going to give it to her. Casey Short, I believe. No, they're not.
So unfortunate for Chicago. One of the best buildups I've seen.
One more look at it.
And here comes Casey Short, just a step.
The flag was up.
It looks like.
There was a delay in the call, and they weren't signaling a goal right away.
Such a good buildup, though. If you saw from the back line, as soon as Sam Johnson had the ball, Casey Short was already up onto Boston's back four. And that's what we're talking about when Chicago can get that back line spread and their outside backs way up. They are so dangerous. It opens up their midfield. It spreads out the attack. And Boston's low confrontation line allows for that to happen. But so unfortunate for Casey Short. What a great buildup for Chicago.
Yeah, a beautiful run from Short on the left side, the outside back in the first year back with Chicago. Here's Kristen Press, has some space. They are giving Kristen Press some time and some space here in this first half.
They're giving her time and space, but she's coming way farther back than she usually does to find the ball. And like we said, because of Boston's low confrontation line and their lower line, there's a ton of space in the midfield that she can come back, pop the ball into her feet, and then turn and find some space to go at goal, which you don't really want Kristen Press doing at your defense.
She doesn't need much time and space to get shots off, and can really kind of take it from distance as well. Handles some tough balls in the box, and she can shoot from distance. She's like the dream attacker,
She's
so to
the
speak.
half chance queen for sure.
Kaya Simon A nice recovery there from Julie Johnston, because Simon, it looked like, had all the day in the world and all the time in the world to let that one fly.
She did. She got caught on Erin Gilliland's back shoulder, but in front of Julie Johnston, so she was on sides. And then a really weird spinning ball into Alyssa Nair that Nair does a great job at keeping out of the goal.
This Red Stars broadcast brought to you in part by Blooming Color, the official printer of the Chicago Red Stars. They've made area businesses stand out for the past 25 years and are looking forward to serving you as well. For all your printing needs, whatever the size or scale, you can find them online at bloomingcolor.com. Just about 10 minutes left in this first half. Here's Kristen Press. There's one of those distance tries. She's going to get her shots tonight.
She is. I think she had a little bit more time to hang on to that ball and draw in one of their outside backs. So I think she would maybe want that one back.
You follow her on Instagram, you'll see her taking a selfie with mom today in downtown Chicago. I think she's got some family in town. Here's Amanda DaCosta. And Boston creeps over. Here's DaCosta. DiBernardo out to Erin Gilliland, who has pushed up. Alyssa Motts. And the deflection right in the gut by Shilgard, who's still trying to recover from that. Here's Gilliland. Gilliland with the lefty. But Shilgard is still down. She took the Alyssa Motts ball right in the gut and still has not recovered.
She did, and I'm sure she'll be up and okay. Hopefully it didn't hit a rib or anything, but those just knock your breath out. And it takes just a couple of big breaths in and out to find it again.
So the athletic training staff will come over to 10 to Louise Shilgard. We'll take a brief timeout. The tempo and the pace, you had talked about just how it looks like Chicago has gelled here in this first half. But what about the tempo and the pace? What are your impressions of that so far?
Honestly, it's slower than Portland, but I think that suits Chicago better. It's not so up and back and direct. They're able to build and play out of the midfield a little bit more, which allows for their outside backs to get forward. And as you can see, they've just got so many numbers in their attack, and it's so hard for Boston to contain them.
We'll take one more look. Casey Short's run. This was what could have been a goal for Chicago. Short called offside. It's close, huh?
From this angle, it looked like she was dead even with Whitney Engen. From the time that the ball was played, that was pretty close.
Well, Shilgard now is up and moving, walking off this field on her own power. We'll take one more look. Casey Short at the top of your screen.
Whitney Engen does take a step forward right as the ball's being played. She is such a smart defender, so I wouldn't put it past her to totally play that one out. But that was a very close call, and like I said, unfortunate for Casey Short. What a great build-up and run-up for the whole Chicago team.
But really, as you had mentioned, just some beautiful progressions in their attacks tonight. Not only on that play, even though the offside was called, but also on the goal that was scored earlier in the 3rd minute tonight.
Exactly, especially on that goal. I would love to go back and see how many passes they had building up to that, but they played her on the back. I think Alyssa Nair even got involved, and then they really opened up Boston's lines and were able to pinpoint and find some different angles and spots to find players in.
Red Stars broadcast brought to you in part by tonight's presenting partner, Athletico, the official physical therapy and athletic trainers of the team. Athletico, better for everybody. Find them online at athletico.com. Crosses it into the box. Vanessa DiBernardo trying to chase it down in a foot race with Brooke Elby. Casey Short to the top of the box. The one touch. Amanda DaCosta couldn't quite handle it. But a nice thought again from Alyssa Motts, generating a chance.
She's done a great job today at getting different players involved in the attack and staying out in those wide spaces and also transitioning on defense. She's done a great job defensively.
The flick on and nobody is there for Boston. And Rory Dames really appreciated the selflessness of Alyssa Motts in the last match against Portland. She didn't get the start to start the game. understood her role, but did get the start in the second half.
And that is harder than people think. It's way easier said than done to be able to be an experienced player, kind of a vet on this team now, and to have to come off to the bench. It's not easy to do that, but she came off the bench. She did awesome for her team, and she provided so much impact right from the get-go.
Kristen Press again dropping deep, trying to look up for DaCosta. And another offside call. We've seen a bunch of those from Chicago tonight.
Another offside, but different players most of the time causing those offsides. So it just means that Chicago's in their attack. They're causing different problems for Boston, and they're getting different people running through into the back four.
And Press and DaCosta almost kind of flip-flopping roles on that possession.
They have a couple times throughout this game. That's what I was talking about a little bit before, is people kind of filling in spots based off the flow of the game, and it's been really fun to watch Chicago so far this half.
Engen will kick it out of bounds. A throw-in coming up for Chicago. Thanks for joining us here. A match between Chicago and Boston. Former Red Star player Jackie Manny. I'm Lisa Byington. 3 points would mean Chicago would be in first place all by themselves. Chasing Portland with 17. Chicago's got 15 for the season. Goal was scored in the 3rd minute by Sofia Huerta. Here's Casey Short and a whistle. Again, coming up at the half, a conversation with Chicago Red Stars owner Arnhem Whistler. Again, he'll discuss the trade from Alyssa Nair, who's now playing against her former club for the 2nd time tonight. Future of the NWSL. And the relationship really between these two clubs, Chicago and Boston. We mentioned the 2 oldest pro women's soccer teams in the country. A whistle against Sofia Huerta on that play. Here's a look at Matt Beard. Again, in his first year, coming out of Liverpool, but his first year in the NWSL. Got some things to jot down to chat about at halftime. Simon has it for Boston. Playing it to Angela Salem. Here's Julie King trying to push up. Back to King. Bodied it up. Simon with the half chance.
One of the better chances for Boston, for sure, just getting Julie King into the attack, spreading out Chicago a little bit. They haven't really gotten too many of their outside backs or holding mids into the attack too much. I think, like we talked about, they're just getting used to this formation, different players in different spots, and they're still trying to find that click, that gel.
You may not realize it, but the Chicago Red Stars Academy offers girls 8 through 17 elite training through residential day camps, personal training, and team training throughout the Chicagoland area and even into Indiana and Wisconsin. To learn more, and how your daughter or their team can train like the Red Stars, head to redstarsacademy.com. Final few minutes of this first half. Chicago with a 1-0 lead over Boston. And another free kick for the Breakers. Boston has a chance to get good at set pieces tonight.
They do. Especially deep out of the back.
Yeah, Molly Pathman sending one in, and Alyssa Nair is there. Up to Kaya Simon, who settles it. Simon into the box, and the save from there.
Chicago's had such a good half. They do need to do a little bit better job of managing the game. Here they just let a ball come through diagonally. Kaya Simon gets it on her right foot and fires a shot at Nair that she was able to take care of.
Rory Dames did not want any let up tonight. Playing against a Boston Breaker team, only 4 points on the year. And now playing really most of the first half with a 1-0 lead. Up and over the top, 2 minutes of extra time, and here's Kristen Press running on. Press to the end line, nice move. Press has generated a corner chance for Chicago. Another corner kick, sponsored by IWSL. Donate a ticket to a non-profit organization. Into stoppage time here in this first half. Danny Colaprico taking it for the Red Stars. And that's an empty opportunity for Chicago. Well, towards the final few minutes here as we close the first half, maybe a little momentum being built by Boston.
Definitely a little bit more momentum. I think mostly, though, just capitalizing on some mistakes by Chicago Red Stars.
Into our second minute of extra time in this first half. Here's DiBernardo. Pressure coming. Looking to switch fields over to Alyssa Motts, battling Pathman. Gilliland reads it nicely to Huerta. Here's Motts on the right side. Motts to the top of the 6th, the flick on. Kristen Press looking to turn. And Vanessa DiBernardo's shot is high and wide.
Good build-up by Chicago. They're way more patient in this game, too. They're not so rushed to get to the end line, serving a ball that doesn't exactly work timing-wise. They're kind of getting forward, pulling the ball back, and finding what works for them.
We're at halftime now between Chicago and Boston. The Red Stars with a 1-0 advantage over the Breakers. The third-minute goal from Sofia Huerta, so far the difference in the first 45 minutes. Now time for the Chicago Red Stars halftime show presented by CJ Wilston Mazda, where you can drive what the Red Stars drive. A conversation with Arnhem Whistler, the Red Stars owner, coming up.
doing the things you love with the people you love. At Illinois Bone and Joint Institute, we help people of all ages move better so they can live better. If an orthopedic injury or illness slows you down, we're here with everything you need. Enjoy the life you deserve. See what we can do for you at IBJI.com. IBJI. Move better, live better.
Halftime of this Red Stars game is presented by C.J. Wilson Mazda. C.J. Wilson Mazda is offering Red Stars fans $500 on their next C.J. Wilson Mazda. Bring your ticket stub with you on your C.J. Wilson Mazda test drive for details. Drive what the Red Stars drive. Visit C.J. Wilson Mazda online at ZoomZoomNation.com. Visit them in Orland Park on 159th Street, in Countryside on LaGrange Road, and in Lake Villa on Grand Avenue. Halftime of this Red Stars game is presented by C.J. Wilson Mazda. C.J. Wilson Mazda is offering Red Stars fans $500 on their next C.J. Wilson Mazda. Bring your ticket stub with you on your C.J. Wilson Mazda test drive for details. Drive what the Red Stars drive. Visit C.J. Wilson Mazda online at ZoomZoomNation.com. Visit them in Orland Park on 159th Street, in Countryside on LaGrange Road, and in Lake Villa on Grand Avenue.
Welcome into the CJ Mazda halftime report. We're at halftime here between Chicago and Boston. I'm Lisa Byington alongside Chicago Red Stars owner Arnim Whistler. And we go back, Chicago and Boston goes back as a franchise. There's a deep connection between these two clubs.
It's a bit strange. If it were family, we'd be sisters or brothers. We've been close to the Boston ownership since the beginning, even of WPS. We've had very similar markets, similar challenges, similar front office styles, and so built a nice relationship over the years, a nice rivalry. And then when WPS, the prior league, went down, it was Mike Stoller. Hey, Mike. It was Mike Stoller, the Boston owner, and I who worked with U.S. Soccer to relaunch the league. And so we've been in this thing for 8 years, 9 years, shoulder to shoulder. So We like Boston. We like to beat Boston, but we like Boston a lot.
You also share goalkeepers as well, and though this isn't the first time that Alyssa Nair has played against her former club, it's the second time this year. The why, she was very good, and everyone across the league knows that.
Right.
But the how of trying to get to have her come to Chicago, maybe a lot of fans don't know about.
Yeah. So last year we were a first place team most of the year, and when we went into the finals or semifinals, we realized that this year could be a challenge, and we loved Michelle Dalton, but we also knew that a truly world-class number one could help the team a lot. So that was our first priority. It was never on our radar. Alyssa has given us fits for years. We've had games that I thought we were going to win or should have won, and I can remember specific saves where she's just deny. So she's always been a great keeper in this league. But we started stockpiling rights. We grabbed rights for a lot of keepers through Discovery, and so Steph LeBay, who's in the league now, Addie Franch, who's in the league now, we had all their rights in the offseason, and we were negotiating, trying to figure out how to solve this number one keeper issue, and somewhere along the way we found out that we had something that we could use to get Engen, who is someone that Boston really wanted, and we found a way to do a three-way trade that wasn't obvious at first. It was a three-part trade, but that was really a remarkable surprise.
And somehow you just kind of connect the dots, and it works. Well, obviously Alyssa Nair, some of the national team members, the internationals in this league are so important to the league's success,
right.
and really you were saying that for the first time in 10 years, because you've been involved in this process for quite some time,
right.
You don't have to worry about next year.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe that to the fans out there, but every year that we've been involved, you're sort of thinking about, are all the teams back next year? What's it going to take to keep the league going? And obviously, for a couple of years, we didn't have a league. This has been a great group of owners. The commitment from U.S. Soccer is wonderful, and a number of things that I can't talk about, but are pretty exciting, are underway. And I can tell you that we haven't had a discussion. There is no discussion about, will the league be around for year 5, or frankly, will it be around for year 4? We just knew it would be. And the exciting part to me is, after seeing literally the worst imaginable times for the league, that we're on the precipice of something that feels like it could last a long, long time.
Not only longevity, but very competitive with some of the other leagues, even internationally as well, you feel like?
Well, it is easy for me. I think we're the top league in the world. I don't think there's a great argument for any other league. There's some great teams in the world that play in solid leagues, but if you want to develop your players to win at the highest level in the World Cup and the Olympics, you've got to play game in and game out against the best in the world. And there's not an easy team in the league. Boston, though they're in last place, it was all we could do to get a result last time. There are no 7-1 games, 9-0 games in this league, and there won't be, because of the quality of talent. So we're attracting all the right players. We've got great, every year the facilities get better, all the things that we do to try and make it a pro environment get better. It's no one's going to catch us.
Well, we appreciate your commitment and your longevity, and of course we appreciate your time.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Halftime.
Thank you, Lisa.
All right, we will continue in just moments away in the CJ Mazda Halftime Report.
Wouldn't it be great to feel this good every day? Doing the things you love with the people you love. At Illinois Bone and Joint Institute, we help people of all ages move better so they can live better. If an orthopedic injury or illness slows you down, we're here with everything you need. Enjoy the life you deserve. See what we can do for you at IBJI.com. IBJI. Move better, live better.
Welcome back here to Toyota Park. Jackie Manny and Lisa Byington with you. Chicago leading Boston 1-0 after a goal that was scored by Sofia Huerta in the 3rd minute. So let's take a look at our first half highlights. Really a first half, Jackie, that was dominated by Chicago.
They really did. They had tons of time on the ball. They were able to get chances forward. Here you see Kristen Press send a ball into Vanessa DiBernardo, and she one-times the ball right into Sofia Huerta's run, who left-times it right into the goal.
Second goal of the year for Sofia Huerta, second assist of the year for Vanessa DiBernardo. Take one more look at it.
You don't see the whole build up here, but Chicago really has done a great job of getting their whole team into the attack and really sending numbers forward and being dangerous throughout the entire field.
So that put Chicago up 1-0. So nice. We get sort of an aerial view of that goal as well. Again, Sofia Huerta's second goal of the season coming in the 3rd minute. Put Chicago up 1-0. And Chicago really dominated in the first half in terms of shot attempts too, leading Boston 9-4. Got a little chippy, got a little testy. Kristen Press had some opportunities, had actually a few opportunities, probably more opportunities than she's seen in a while, and let alone just in one half.
She has. She's come off of the back line a bunch this first half and gotten the ball at her feet. And because she's far off the line, she's had time to turn and get her head up and find some chances on goal.
There were some chances generated really towards the final few minutes of this half. That was Stephanie McCaffrey. A couple of corner chances, 3 corner opportunities for Chicago in this first half as well. There were 9 offside calls on Chicago, but you don't mind that too much.
I don't. I think they've just been so good at pressing the line of Boston. They've been have different players making different runs into their spaces, and they've just been aggressive on the line. So I don't mind those offside calls at all.
Again, McCaffrey and really Kaya Simon generating the best opportunities, the best scoring chances for Boston in the first half. This was an important play. Casey Short called offside on this call, and so what could have been a goal was not a goal for Chicago.
It was another great build-up for Chicago. They had a ton of passes that built up to this chance, and she was just, if she was one step offside.
Yeah, it was awfully close. There's another opportunity from Simon, and Alyssa Nair playing against her former team, doing a good job keeping that out of the net. Our last look, it was a shot from Erin Gilliland for Chicago.
And it's been fun to see her. She's been able to get forward a little bit more in this game. She's had a different role than last season. Last season, you just saw her fly up and down the sideline, but she's been switched over to right back. And Chicago plays a little bit of that lopsided shape, so her side's not as free to go, but she's been great defensively, and it is so fun to watch her fly up and down the line when she gets the ball at her feet.
Yeah, it was switched from the left back to right back this year. Casey Short now on the left side. The Naperville native almost had her second goal of the season. Was called offside in the final few minutes of this first half. So we are just moments away here from beginning the second half. There you look at your keepers, Libby Stout for Boston. Of course, Alyssa Nair played 6 seasons with Boston, playing against her former club, drafted by Boston in 2010. An East Coast native out of Connecticut, played soccer at Penn State. Has become one of the better keepers here in the league. Standings are awfully close. As we have mentioned, this does have some first place implications. Portland now sitting at 17 points atop the league. Chicago right behind them in a tie for second with 15. 3 points and a win tonight would be significant. Chicago would be in first place all by themselves.
And they are a game behind, so there's something to be said for them being that high up in the standings right now.
I want to remind you that you can text Red Stars to 52182 all the way up into the 70th minute of this match. Today's auction items in our live auction, a 2013 player signed jersey, including by Jackie Santa Catarina at the time, ups the value. Vanessa DiBernardo team jacket and a coin toss experience where the fans can get involved.
That's not even a person anymore. It really ups the value.
Right. Jackie Santa Catarina has now become Jackie Manning. Staying on sides. In the first minute of this second half, Sofia Huerta once again.
Another early strike by Sofia Huerta to start off the second half this time. You see a ball just get kind of jumbled, ends up at the feet of Sofia Huerta. She has a quick turn, which she is so good and powerful at. She gets one touch and then buries the ball into the left post.
And fending off the Boston defense, the strength of Huerta.
She's strong, she's powerful. She doesn't take a ton of time and space to move and get her head up. And when she strikes that ball on frame, she is so good around the goal.
Up until tonight, all of her points in the last 2.5 seasons, the 7 goals, the 3 assists, had come in the absence of the internationals. Not tonight. She has come to play tonight and has taken advantage of the opportunities that she's had.
And that'll be a huge step for her to be able to know that she can pick up some slack when the national team players are there and when they're not. It'll be a big confidence boost for her going forward.
Here we have a free kick for Boston. It's Pathman and Shilgard who are there. Shilgard with the lefty foot will take it to the top of the box. Brooke Elby with the half chance.
Chicago Red Stars goal. Scoring her second of the match, number 11, Sofia Huerta. The goal is assisted in the 47th minute.
So the Huerta goal officially scored in the 47th minute of play. Huerta getting the job done in the first 3 minutes of each half.
Exactly, striking early.
Scoring in the 3rd minute of the first half and now in the 2nd minute of this second half. Played back to Julie Johnston, even with the pressure from Kaya Simon. They'll play it back to Stout. This is the last home match, as we had mentioned, for the national team players, for fans to watch the national team players here to play here at Toyota Park at least. They will most likely take off after the Portland match next Wednesday. Meanwhile, fans, you want to watch a match in Chicago, you got to wait till Saturday, July 23rd, a 7 p.m. kickoff against the Houston Dash. That's also Pride Night. More details to be announced soon, so make sure you're signed up with the e-newsletter to get updates at chicagoredstars.com. Press with the pressure. And DaCosta looking to settle. Has Kristen Press out wide on the left side. Nice defensive stance by Boston and Whitney Engen. Whitney Engen knows Kristen Press awfully well. They played on the national team together.
They did. Whit actually spent her first couple years with Chicago in the WPS. My first Chicago team I played with when she's such a good player. She's so strong. I've actually played against her in club for a long time. Winning air battles was kind of my thing in club, and she dominated me pretty good in a couple of games. So I have a ton of respect for Whitney Engen and how she goes about playing.
You know, she actually also grew up as a California native, grew up playing some childhood ball with Kristen Press as well.
Yep.
So those two go way back.
They do.
The takeaway from Julie King. We mentioned so athletic on this team out of Auburn University. Even played a year of basketball at Auburn. That's how talented she is. Was a contributor off the bench for the basketball team. Back to her normal position at the right back spot for Boston, with Engen moving back. Trying to play it out wide to Alyssa Motts. Well, Boston was outshot by Chicago in the first half, as we mentioned, 9-4. This is a team that has a league low 2 goals this year. Where do you see them maybe generating some chances in the second half?
I think Kaya Simon had a good run at it in the first half. She created a couple chances, but I really like Louise from Boston, Louise Shilgard. She's crafty, she's hard, she's pretty feisty out there, and she's gotten the ball at her feet a couple times. So we see her as being one of the more dangerous players on the field for Boston.
First sub being used for Boston, Kristen Westphal is in for Pathman on the back line. Molly Pathman's day is now done. IBJI is the proud sponsor of the Chicago Red Stars. Illinois Bone and Joint Institute, the proud presenting sponsor of tonight's game. Move better, live better, learn more at IBJI.com. Again, want to remind you, we have an online auction, a live auction taking place. If you text the code word Red Stars to 52182 up until the 70th minute tonight, you can get eligible for a 2013 player signed jersey, a team jacket, and a coin toss pregame experience at a future Red Stars game. Erin Gilliland pushing up. She has Press and Huerta, and even DaCosta in the box. And a foul called on Chicago. Home crowd didn't like that call.
A little bit of a soft call.
Ready to ride in style to the Chicago Red Stars home games at Toyota Park. Hop on the Club to Pitch Bus for Jay Hudson, presented by your official team partner, Bitburger.
This is a Boston back line that features the off-season acquisitions. Mention of Whitney Engen. Cassie Coleman is the team's only defender who has gone the distance. All the games here so far in the midfield led by Mewis. The attack by McCaffrey and Kaya Simon. But as we had mentioned, this is a Boston Breaker team looking to find its identity.
The good ball in. Julie Johnston clears it, and Kaya Simon just tries to run through it, but her hands are up in the air, so it's a handball on Boston.
Big kick from Alyssa Nair to the head of Engen. The tackle and the foul is made by Shilgard, who took down Amanda DaCosta.
She's pretty feisty. She's a hard player. She comes from behind, which you just can't do, unfortunately. But she's got a little bit of fight in her. I like that. She's still playing hard for Boston, still trying to make things from the defense.
Again, one of those players who played for Liverpool, and head coach Matt Beard, he's well familiar with Shilgard's style of play. Has capped about 24 times even for Sweden. Took about a year and a half off, got married, had a baby. Trained herself again, conditioned herself again to get back to playing soccer. Here's the free kick for Chicago. And Stout impressively charging at it, but goes down hard. A yellow card is issued.
I don't know about that yellow card. It looked like Sofia Huerta was making a run at the play, but then kind of held up, tried to hold her run, and maybe just came up a little bit short and nicked her on her way down.
So in the 56th minute, Sofia Huerta issued a yellow, and that is her second of the year. She joins Sam Johnson and Alyssa Motz, who also have 2 yellows for the season. And Johnston sends that one into the stands. Kristen Press working at speed. Sofia Huerta trying to stay onside and find the run that could help her. Taken away from Boston, and Chicago gets it right back.
Chicago's doing such a good job of transitioning from attack to defense, and they've created so many turnovers from Boston.
One more reminder, up until the 70th minute, you can text the code word Red Stars to 52182. Get involved in our online live auction. Jerseys, a signed jersey, team jacket, a coin toss pregame experience, all available to you. Here's Kristen Press. Staying with it, Press still involved. Boston swarmed on her on that chance. And Nair coming way out. Simon taking the touch. And the flag is up, and this time an offside call on Boston. Just a couple for the Breakers tonight.
We really struggled to get any sort of attack going, any sort of rhythm offensively. It's been a very direct game for them so far, which makes it hard to get Kaya Simon on the ball, McCaffrey, any sort of real chances, real threats on goal.
Boston played very direct in the first meeting, something that Rory Dames had discussed. He said we are also trying to find our way a little bit. That first meeting coming back in May 7th, a 1-0 victory for Chicago. The one goal coming in the second half by Kristen Press.
We just saw McCaffrey leave and Eunice Beckman come on. Beckman's from Bayern Munich. She came over in May. And she had a really decent career overseas. She had 22 goals as a pro. Still struggling to find her way in Boston, but maybe today will be her day.
Yeah, got some time, and in fact got her first start of the year in the last match with Christy Mewis out with the ankle injury for Boston. As you mentioned, has some international experience out of Germany. Played the first half of the 2015 and 16 season in Germany. Actually teamed up with Mewis on that same team. A hard tumble to the grass.
Beckman
one
was
more
not
look.
very happy with that call. You see Cole Prico get on the ball. She takes her touch forward, and Beckman comes in through the back of her and definitely two-hand shoves her, so I'm not sure what her frustration is, but a hard challenge through the back of Cole Prico.
So Beckman already making her presence felt in the
Making an
first few
impact,
minutes.
exactly, right off the bench.
Red Stars broadcast brought to you in part by Blooming Color, the official printer of the Chicago Red Stars. You can find them online at bloomingcolor.com. Free kick here coming up for Chicago after the foul committed by Beckman. Here's Julie Johnston to take it. Johnston, a high floater to the top of the box. The header from Huerta. And again, Beckman with the dangerous high kick right in the face of Chicago.
Comes in twice. This is the second one where she gets up and over, and her foot is just right in front of DaCosta's head.
And this puts the Boston Breakers in a very dangerous situation, just sitting right outside the 18, as you can see, for this free kick chance. And Kristen Press has even come over to join Kula Prico and DiBernardo on this opportunity. A four-person wall getting set up by Boston. Kristen Press lining up. Press will take the chance, the bending ball, and what a save by Libby Stout. Press again, the one touch from Casey Short. Chicago staying with it. It was DiBernardo taking the shot and Short getting a foot on it.
Chicago does such a great job at keeping this ball alive off of a great Kristen Press free kick.
And a talking to by Boston, now down 2-0.
Here you see Kristen Press lines up, she bends it around the inside of the wall. Huerta gets a foot on it. Vanessa DiBernardo does a great job to drive it across, and Casey Short just lays out, gets a little bit of a touch on it, and just redirects it into the far post.
The second goal of the year for Casey Short. So one was taken away from Short on the offside call in the first half. She got her goal tonight.
So deserved off that. And when you watch her again, she puts all of her effort. She slides into the box, just gets the top of her toe on the ball and redirects it right into the side netting. What a great goal by Casey Short. She's having a great night so far.
Chicago up 3-0. A couple of goals from Sofia Huerta, and now the goal from Casey Short. And Vanessa DiBernardo gets her second assist of the night. Make it 3 on the year now for DiBernardo.
Huge for her, huge for Casey Short and Sofia Huerta, and just a big game for Chicago, but to be able to generate 3 goals. They haven't been able to do that this season, and it'll be huge going forward offensively.
Well, Chicago looking to build some momentum. They'll play one more match before the internationals. We'll head to Olympic training camps. But all of the players involved in the scoring tonight, at least on the score sheet, Casey Short, Vanessa DiBernardo, Sofia Huerta, they're not going anywhere.
They're not, which is great news for Chicago. It's huge when players can step up in these roles, especially when the team is still full with everybody in.
Again, after this home match, Chicago will head to Portland, one of 4 straight on the road. They won't return for another home match until July 23rd. Boston is also part of a 4-match road skid right now. Chicago tonight, then New York on June 24th. Then Seattle and then Orlando.
You can see Boston starting to get a little bit frustrated out there on the field, a little bit of heads dropping, arms going up in the air. And it's hard when you're in this position on, in your season and you're bottom of the table, you're down 3-0 away. It's a hard rut to get out of.
Here's Huerta. Has a run coming from DiBernardo. DiBernardo staying with it. DiBernardo will take the lefty chance. Boy, they are testing Libby Stout tonight.
They are. Boston needs to do a little bit better job of getting pressure on Chicago. Chicago has so much time and space to get their head up, turn, and face the game, and they've been doing a great job at picking apart those different lines and pockets that they're finding.
What did Matt Beard tell us before the game? He said, one, we can't let Kristen Press shoot, right? The keys to the match. We have to win possession. We have to finish our chances. They've kind of struggled at all of those tonight. If you looked at those as kind of keys to the matches this evening. But finishing chances has been a struggle for Boston all season long.
And he had some high hopes going into this game. I think he felt like he found a stronger lineup. He had people that were back and healthy. So I'm sure it's a little bit disappointing to see this result.
Into the box, look out, Kristen Press going to work, Stout. Libby Stout with the save. And that's not easy to do. Kristen Press almost at point-blank range on that attempt. We're going to have a Red Stars substitution. Jen Hoy is going to get a chance in for Sofia Huerta. So Huerta will leave the game with a brace tonight. A couple of goals, one in the 3rd minute and one in the 47th minute. She's been lights out in the first 3 minutes to start these 2 halves.
Did not take her long to produce in either half. It's a great game for Sofia Huerta, and we've harped on it a ton tonight, but just being able to get teammates like her, like Jen Hoy, confident as these bigger name players are leaving the team for a little bit is huge.
Beckman stays with it, and another foul call. Eunice Beckman, very physical player, making her presence known. Here's the last chance that Kristen Press had. Nice save from Libby Stout. A reaction save on Kristen Press, who already has 4 goals on the year to lead the NWSL.
Tickets to the July 30th Red Stars match against FC Kansas City are currently on sale at ChicagoRedStars.com.
Hoy immediately gets a touch. Here's Alyssa Motz.
Fans, last chance to get on tonight's silent auction. Prizes. The auction will end at the 70th minute of the match. And now to take home great prizes and support the Red Stars charitable savings initiatives.
Into the 70th minute of play between Boston and Chicago. All kinds of space that Chicago can work with here. The through ball. Red Stars going to work, looking for Kristen Press, the header. Again, just inches away.
She's had tons and tons of opportunities. Hasn't finished one yet, but she's been so dangerous at pulling herself off the line and creating some space for herself, getting herself on the ball and just firing shots, foot, head, whatever she's got.
Reitzman is in, and now DaCosta will trot off. Courtney Reitzman doesn't always get a lot of playing time for Chicago. Comes in with only 30 minutes of playing time this year.
It would be huge for her to get these 20 minutes then. As soon as those national team players go out, spots and different openings start to come open. So just having a couple of those minutes under your belt is huge going forward.
Yeah, when you play 30 minutes for the season, you can possibly get 20 in one game.
Exactly.
Great experience for you. One last reminder of our online auction taking place. All you have to do is text the code word Red Stars to 52182. That's 52182. The code word Red Stars. You can be eligible for our online auction. All kinds of great opportunities and great memorabilia for Chicago Red Star fans. You can do it up until the 70th minute. The turn from Casey Short, who's already got a goal today. Danny Colaprico cuts it back.
So many Chicago players getting themselves around the ball. They've constantly got 1 or 2 opportunities to find their teammates, get their head up and open up and switch the point of attack.
Westfall trying to find Simon. And the takeaway from Johnston. thing we haven't really talked about is the fact that when Julie Johnston leaves, that'll give an opportunity for Cade Naughton on the back line for Chicago. And Naughton has really played fantastically when she's had her opportunities for the Red Stars. In fact, Rory Dames has said, you know what, she could probably start on many of these teams in this league.
She could start on a ton of these teams, and it's almost a blessing that Julie Johnston was dealing with those injuries, because Katie Naughton did get able to get in, get some time under her belt going forward when she's gonna have to step up with Julie Johnston out.
Remind you that you can go to redstarsacademy.com. Red Stars Academy offers girls ages 8 through 17 some elite training. That takes place not only in Chicagoland, but in Indiana and Wisconsin as well. Foul call on Chicago, as Engen went down.
See Jen Hoy just hustling, trying to get through the back of Whitney Engen, anything to get her foot on the ball and keep it alive. But Whitney Engen does a great job at keeping her body in between the ball and Jen Hoy.
A substitution for Boston. Christy Mewis will exit, and Rachel Wood will come in for Mewis. Now Mewis, again, had been dealing with that ankle injury. She's trained all week. Matt Beard said she's been doing fine, but she'll exit. Just under 20 minutes to play in this match.
She has a ton of experience for Boston. I've actually only seen her in the back line, but I think just putting her in that midfield gets her up on the line like you see here and able to get her head on the ball. She's a great, strong target in the air.
Rachel Wood is also a player who's only played 7 minutes this year. So Rachel Wood getting some quality PT. Sending it into the box. A couple of breakers were there, but Chicago's able to clear. Beckman will settle up to the top of the box. Salem trying to chase on. And that was a try from Rachel Wood. Rachel Wood in 2015 really kind of had a banner year, career highs in starts and games and minutes played. 8 starts and 10 games played. Over 700 minutes played. Got her start with the Breakers reserve team, joining the Breakers in July of 2014. In both of these clubs, we talked about the similarities for both of these franchises. That is another similarity, is the importance that they've put on their reserve teams. Of course, Chicago coming off the national championship under head coach Chris King. Out to Julie Johnston with the pressure coming from Kaya Simon. Alyssa Motts trying to place it into the box to Kristen Press, and Stout beats her to it.
I'm surprised that this late in the game, given the score especially, that Boston's giving that much time to Chicago on the ball. They're able to pin the ball into their midfield, get it back, and just play these nice, easy, short passes that keep shifting the defense and allowing Chicago to find different pockets of space to drive, just like this.
Nice touch there from Press, but it was Julie King reading it perfectly. High kick call on Kristen Press. Into the 77th minute. Beckman now with some space to work with. Nice 1-2 combination with Simon. Sending it out wide, trying to find Elby. Elby cuts it back.
Beckman's definitely provided a spark off the bench. She's been a little bit of a wrecking ball. She's all over the field, but she's hard, she's aggressive, she covers ground, and she's dangerous on the ball. She's created a couple decent opportunities for Boston just in the few amount of time that she's been in.
Signed late in May of 2016 of this year with Boston. Mentioned that she got her first start in the last match with Mewis out. This is her third game that she's played with Boston. But she's got that mentality, as you mentioned, maybe that you want of someone coming off the bench. Three-0 score between Chicago and Boston. A couple of goals from Sofia Huerta in the 3rd and the 47th minute. And then the goal by Casey Short. You can wear what the Red Stars wear. All you have to do is go to redstarsgear.com. For jerseys, sweatshirts, just about anything else your Red Stars wear or use, log on to redstars.com today. Jackie Manning, Lisa Byington with you. We thank you for tuning in to this webcast between Boston and Chicago. 3 points again for the Red Stars. We'll put them in first place all by themselves. First place is something that this Chicago franchise has gotten used to really last year and this year. They were in a similar spot last year when they were sitting in first place. This is a much younger team that has to handle that sort of, I don't know if it's pressure, but that sort of situation, I guess, being that high in the standings.
It is a young team, but fortunately the players before it have kind of set that standard, that bar. Like you said, this is a great club. They've kind of shown through their history that they've got a ton of potential to do well, and they'll be looking to be that high in the rankings for years to come.
Two veterans, you're looking at one of them, Alyssa Nair, 28 years old. Christen Press also at 27. Those are the veterans, the oldest players on this team. The Red Stars have done a decent job in terms of building some players out of the reserve system, but also doing a good job in drafting and understanding what their needs might be in the last few years.
Murray's very good at looking at players, being able to build them into better players than they already are, and he sees potential in some people that a lot of coaches just kind of pass off. His draft picks have been great, and they've been around on the team for at least 2 years in a row for the most part. He's been able to build a really solid foundation for this team, and a lot of that has to do with his draft picks.
So Alyssa Nair will reset. Nair, obviously the acquisition that Chicago picked up in the offseason. The front office for Chicago kind of jokes that she gave us all kinds of fits throughout the last few years. If you can't beat her, have her join you.
That is true. And she's been such a great addition for Chicago so far.
We have Reitzman and Hoy playing up top, and Christen Press has dropped back with DaCosta now out of the game for Chicago. Here is Press in the middle of the field, trying to place the through ball to Motts, and another offside call.
Chicago's definitely had a ton of offside calls, but a lot of them are pretty close and iffy calls.
Vanessa DiBernardo. We don't see this very often. She's going to take a break. Vanessa DiBernardo gets a breather.
You don't really see her come off ever, but like we've said, just getting as many players some minutes as you can to try and gear them up and prepare them for that time when those spots are opening.
Taylor Como is in for DiBernardo, so DiBernardo will take a seat with a couple of assists. Shot from the top of the 18. Final few minutes of this match. We are in the 83rd minute. Jackie Manning, Lisa Byington with you. Jackie Manning was Jackie Santa Catarina, playing for the Chicago Red Stars, also an All-Big Ten honoree. The holding midfield position for the University of Illinois. You got to play, though, in Rory Dame's first year as the Chicago Red Stars head coach.
I did. And like we mentioned with Boston's coach, it is a hard transition to go from, in his case, club and being able to transition to a pro level, different ages that you're having to deal with, different experience levels, and to be quite honest, different egos that you have to deal with and be able to coach and read. And he's done a great job at building off of each season, learning, building different rosters, stronger rosters. He's been very successful so far.
Here's Beckman, Eunice Beckman, getting to meet Julie Johnston on that opportunity. Back to Beckman, who's going one-on-one with Johnston. To the top of the key, the header is made by Kaya Simon.
I think Johnston's still a little bit salty off of the Beckman foul on Colaprico. She's kind of had her eye on her the whole game since then, and she's just been tough around her.
Alyssa Nair, who leads the league in shutouts so far, just moments away and minutes away from perhaps producing yet another. This Chicago defense has been so good. 6 goals allowed this year. That's the second fewest in the league, right behind Portland. Running on is Angela Salem. There is Erin Gilliland playing it out to Motts. What's impressed you about this defense this year from Chicago?
They've had a chance to really gel at this point in the season. Casey Short's the only new one that's come in, so they definitely have experience as a back 4 under their belt. But I think just adding in Alyssa Nair, communication-wise, leadership-wise, especially with Julie Johnston, they just have such a good understanding of each other and communicate really well. And I think Alyssa Nair in the back, just because she's on the U.S. team with Julie Johnston, she kind of holds Julie accountable, and nobody else was really able to do that in past years. And I think she just makes Julie play one more level up than she usually does, and it's been a great partnership between those two to see them in their club teams.
It's interesting. How do you hold Julie Johnston more accountable?
You don't have to very often, fortunately, because she's so strong. But I think just having a player behind her that plays at the next level with her, you can't really let your guard down. You've got to be strong all the time, and just having a good level of respect and having a good relationship with your keeper here and at the next level is huge going forward for the future of the U.S. team as well.
You know what else helps? If I'm not mistaken, I believe they're roommates as well.
Are they? There
here
you go.
In Chicago. So Boston coming into tonight, struggling a little bit. Matt Beard, though, has said that he has liked the number of points that they've actually generated in the last few matches. They've played some close matches this year. Beaten 3-0 by Seattle, and just recently by Western New York 4-0. But outside of that, some 1-0 games. Just recently took some points from Washington in a 1-1 draw.
I think it'll be important for them going forward, just finding a formation that they can actually stick to, even if it means you're having games like these where you kind of have to live and learn and figure out each other in the system.
Through ball to Alyssa Motts. Motts plays it out to Como. Taylor Como to Libby Stout.
And like I was saying, it just think you'll have to go through those downs before you go through your ups. And with Boston hopefully sticking with one formation and their personnel, they'll be able to figure out what exactly works for them, be able to play better around each other, and kind of get on the same page better than they are right now.
Well, they've played around with a 4-2-3-1 tonight, as well as their last match. They've gone with a 3-5-2.
And he talked about just really wanting to kind of clog up that midfield, which he definitely does numbers-wise, but they need to do a better job at getting pressure on the ball and making it harder for Chicago or their opponent to play. They've just had way too much time on the ball, and they can get their head up, they can turn, and just find chances at will, really.
The goal of the 3-5-2 was to dominate centrally, generate a little bit more possession. Matt Beard had said in the 4-2-3-1 he felt like it was tennis sometimes. There was too much back and forth. Slipping a pass through to Kristen Press. Kristen Press one-on-one with Libby Stout. Pressed to the right side. And Stout completely took the angle away. What a play by Libby Stout.
She does a great job at holding her run. She stays on sides. It's a great ball in. She takes just one too many touches, and then Engen's able to drop in behind Libby Stout as well. And she just kind of takes away her own angle, Kristen Press, with that last touch.
The NWSL's goal leading shot taker, had a 1v1 opportunity. And Libby Stout in the Boston defense winning that match. The Red Stars corner kick again. I want to thank our friends at Illinois Women's Soccer League for donating a game ticket to a local nonprofit organization all match long. Approaching the final minute of the match, and the Red Stars will get another corner kick, sponsored by IWSL. And Chicago will take its time. Danny Colaprico to take it. We'll have 3 minutes of extra time added. Chicago working on another clean sheet. Alyssa Nair has 4 of them this season, tied for the lead in the NWSL.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. The court official has indicated the referee will be adding a minimum of 3 minutes additional time to the end.
So now we are into stoppage time. Kristen Press going to work. Getting bodied a little bit by Angela Salem. Nair will take it. The first of 3 extra minutes now in the books.
A little bit better job by Boston to get their outside backs forward, stretch Chicago a little bit, but I'm still surprised at how how deep their midfield's lying, how far back Wood is sitting, just with them down 3-0 and them wanting to get a little bit better attack-wise. I'm surprised that they're not pushing numbers forward.
I think they've waved the white flag here with under 2 minutes to go in this match.
Definite possibility.
Chicago coming in with a 4-1-3 record, 15 points. Tied for second place. In a tie for second with Western New York, one of the great stories of the NWSL, and a yellow card is issued on that play. Second yellow card of the match.
Things are just getting a little bit frustrated. Boston's ready for the game to be over so they can kind of go back onto the drawing board, fix what's going on, and start new with the next game.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Yellow card Boston is number 17, Kaya Simon in stoppage.
Kaya Simon getting the yellow for Boston. On the final few seconds of this match, Chicago trailing Portland just by a couple of points. It is a tight race. Portland with 17, Chicago and Western New York with 15, Washington with 14, Orlando Pride, the newest team of the NWSL with 12, and Seattle Reign, the only other team in double-figure points with 11. That'll do it. Chicago picks up 3 points, and the Red Stars now sitting in first place all by themselves.
Huge win for Chicago, and not just for points wise, but they did a great job at actually connecting and playing well on all cylinders and putting together a whole 90 minutes. Boston, they're still trying to get onto their feet, a little bit all over the place in terms of their formation, but Chicago did a great job tonight at picking apart their different openings and really attacking and making some dangerous plays.
And the point contributors tonight, how about Sofia Huerta with a brace this evening? 2 of the 3 goals, 1 in the 3rd minute, 1 in the 47th minute. The other goal coming to Casey Short, and 2 assists tonight by Vanessa DiBernardo.
Huge. Like you mentioned, all players that are going to be around during this Olympic break, so it's huge confidence booster for Chicago going forward.
The last time that the Chicago home crowd will see the internationals play here on this home field, at least before the Olympic break. Aurora Dames and company pick up 3 points. Now have 18 on the season and now sit in first place all by themselves. They leapfrog Portland, at least for tonight. So happy that you could join us here. A 3-0 final for Chicago over Boston. For Jackie Manning, I'm Lisa Byington. That'll do it for Chicago Red Stars Soccer.